60 degrees, which is awfully warm for a lager, and it's pretty cold for an ale. So you kind of get flavor characteristics from both. It's kind of like a hybrid, which is great. So we're gonna go ahead and chill this on down. We got our yeast all ready to go. I had made this looks like a lot more than a half-gallon starter to me. And a lot of guys will actually chill this, and then they'll just they'll get a nice layer of yeast on the bottom, and they'll drain off or decant off the extra starter. But I'm not going to do that. This was some killer wort that I actually had left over. It's super malty, and it wasn't boiled with hops, but I got enough hops in there to compensate. So I have no hesitation at all about pitching this whole thing, and we're going to get a nice explosive fermentation. I mean, this thing's just going to rock and roll right away. So basically, this will probably take 15 minutes or so to chill down to a pitchable temperature. We'll come back, we'll show you how to do all that, and just kind of wrap everything up. So our wort's chilled down to 70 degrees, maybe 68, 69. It's kind of hard to tell when you get down in the small numbers. So we're going to go ahead and kill the water line. And a lot of times I'll start siphoning before I remove the chiller to not disturb the cold break, but in this case, I think we're going to be just fine. So, just going to go ahead and lift this guy right on out. Shake the last little bit of beer off that we can. Didn't put in all that time for nothing. Okay. So, now we're going to go ahead and transfer our beer into our primary fermenter. And again, just got a regular old ale pail. It's been sanitized with itophor. And I forgot to show this before. This is my racking cane. These are available at any brewing store. Simply, this is all full itophor right now. You got this rubber plunger that goes down into the inside of the racking cane itself. You dip this racking cane in anything you want to siphon from, set it in, prime it. Gravity will take over as long as your vessel is higher than wherever you're transferring into. You're gold. So we're going to go ahead and start this. Basically, again, you don't want to just dump this kettle into your fermenter, because you'll see at the end here, we're going to cut the video before this ends or it'll take too long. There's going to be what we call cold break on the bottom, or trub, whatever. But essentially what happened was, as the beer got cold, the particulates all sank to the bottom. There's going to be about a ½ inch to an inch of crap on the bottom of this kettle, and the idea is you're leaving that behind, and then after primary fermentation you're going to transfer your beer into the secondary fermenter and leave that trub behind, and then of course you're going to rack from your secondary fermenter into your bottling bucket, so you'll actually be racking a third time then. And the idea is that you're just moving the beer farther and farther away from all the stuff that you don't want in your final product. Now, what you want to actually try to do during this part is to kind of allow the beer to break the surface and plunge some air into the wort here. Okay, and the reason for that is, again, the yeast needs oxygen to thrive. So beyond this, we're actually going to use a slotted spoon to really slosh this up too, and just get in as much air as we can. A lot of guys that you can see on YouTube actually have dissolved oxygen, or they dissolve oxygen in with an oxygen tank. They'll actually put in like a steel air stone or just the line itself, but for our purposes and for the volume of beer that we're working with, we're getting plenty of air in here as it is. So again, and the other thing I like to do with here is, this is kind of the time where you get to really see what color your beer is, and when it's really deep like this, I can't remember the last time I got a mug of beer that was 2 gallons deep, so to actually see what a sip is going to look like, it's probably going to be pretty close to whatever you're seeing in the line, and I'm pretty darn happy with the way this has turned out. Again, once you get these single infusions down, I mean, beer brewing goes like clockwork. I used to spend a lot of time double checking everything and making sure I wasn't forgetting steps and checking temperatures and worrying about what's going to happen next, and did I do the step before that right. And once you get yourself into a good rhythm, I mean, you're just going to be operating on very primal instincts that you've honed. So like I said, this will take a couple minutes, and I keep promising myself that I'm going to make one of these with ½ inch tube at least, to just totally speed up these transferring times, but haven't gotten around to do that. Maybe you guys are a little more froggy than I am right now. So we'll transfer this, we'll come back at the end, we'll aerate, we'll pitch our yeast, make a label for this thing, and sit on our asses. just wanted to kind of show you guys what I'm talking about here. You can see coming off the end of this tube here what the actual color of the beer is. We got like a really nice golden on this one. You can see that head starting to form there from where we were plunging the beer into the, the wort into itself, but you can see that we're getting a lot of oxygen mixed in. Now again, just to mention this now, because I'm not going to make any videos about secondary fermentation, I don't think. When you're transferring between your primary and secondary fermenter, don't do this, because at any point after this stage, introducing oxygen will result in oxidation. You will literally have, it'll be small amounts, but you'll literally be forming rust into your beer, so you'll get like a kind of bloody metallic taste. So probably the more you get into home brewing, the more you're going to understand what you're tasting when you do taste bad beers that have like a tinniness to them or anything like that. So right now, oxygen good. From now on, oxygen bad. Okay, I don't know how well this is going to come out, but basically this is what I wanted to show you. This is where you really don't want to get greedy. Okay, there's probably what looks like, I don't know, 3 or 4 ounces of good solid wort left, but you can see all the trub around it. Okay, I'm going to actually lift this out so you can really see, but you can see all this stuff. Okay, that's hop residue, that's maybe some chunks of grain, maybe some other stuff, but the point is you don't want this in your beer. Okay, so that settled down when we chilled the beer, and we now have our beer in our primary fermenter, and we are right at, wow, we are at like exactly 5 gallons, so that's pretty dead on. And again, you know, we're gonna add this starter. We're gonna add the whole darn thing. It's definitely appropriate to be putting in here, I think, despite the fact that it hasn't been boiled. This is made off the exact same wort as what this beer is right here, so this is gonna blend really well. And we're a little generous with our hops too, so I'm definitely not worried about it. So like I said, we're just gonna go ahead and add this whole starter right here. And you can see there's just a boatload of yeast in there. So I would expect this thing to be gurgling pretty good this time tomorrow. So go ahead and add our yeast, and then like I said, you know, we've already sanitized a slotted spoon in iodophor, and then we're gonna go ahead and whip this up really good. You want as much air in there as you can get to get as much oxygen in there as possible. So we're gonna go ahead and get this guy going. Just get that iodophor off of it. So, you know, a lot of guys too, man, they just kind of flick their wrists and they're like, ah, that's pretty good. But, you know, the idea is you really want to get this thing oxygenated. Because, like I said before, this is the last time you want this thing being exposed to oxygen until, I mean, really getting mixed up until you pour this thing into a glass to drink it. So you need enough air to get you through. And no matter how much yeast you put in there, if you don't got oxygen, it can't thrive. And we're completely dependent upon the yeast to metabolize this wort that we made. So definitely don't skimp out on the frothing. So for the reasons of the video's sake, I will do this for slightly shorter than usual. And I also like this slotted spoon because you can go ahead and like rush the wort through it and really get it going good, and you get this nice foam on top to let you know that you're getting plenty of air inside. And then also, lastly, what I want to mention is too, like these 5-gallon carboys here, you don't want to use those for primary fermentation. If you start off with 5 gallons of wort, and if you've never boiled or made a beer before, you're about to find out what krausen is. Okay. Now, when you see a company like Old Style advertising fully krausen beer, I want you to be mad with me, because fully krausen means the beer is fermenting the way it's supposed to be. That's how beer is made. There's no way around it. If you had a company that said, now with 100% less krausen, that would be amazing. But the reality is, every single beer in the world that ferments is creating a krausen, okay? And you need to have room for that. And basically what that means is, as the beer is fermenting, it gets a big old foamy head on top of it that literally has particulates stick to it. So basically, kind of like how you have this, you're going to have all this turbulation where you're having CO2 gas molecules rising through the beer, creating foam on top, and as particulates rise, they cling to that foam, and it acts as a natural kind of a cleansing process. Okay,